Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Ruel, your friendly neighborhood podcaster. How you guys doing? If you are a new listener of this podcast, welcome. Sit right back and you'll hear a tale. If you are a return listener, what's going on, guys? God, it's kind of warm where I'm at, and I can't complain. Just gonna have to sweat it out. And so I'm just kind of a little exhausted. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I feel like despite being an active individual, you know, parent, you know, always on the go, 3 kids, a lot of, you know, parenting stuff going on, you know, and when it's work time, it's a lot of, I don't know, I typically walk like half a mile to it from where I park a vehicle to a train station, and you know, then not too bad. Then do a couple blocks to the office from the destination train station, and all it means is at the end of the day, I get to do it all over again, and but with the excitement of and the pressing of trying to get the rest of the kids where they need to be at the end of the day, whether it's you know, an activity or an appointment. So, you know, I could typically leave the office thinking, okay, I have enough time to take one of the kids to where they need to be, only to get to my origin train station and realize, oh damn, I still have a half a mile to go. So you know, with a backpack, with a laptop or a MacBook, same thing, same difference. I got a bolt. So it's kind of some type of training I've put myself into. Yeah. So what are we talking about today? Yeah, you know, I've been on my side, I've been spending a lot of time trying to I don't know what you call it, rebrand, rework. I haven't spent a whole lot of time. I tried to. I put it out there. I have this other website, right, to be a presence for my graphic design side and other services at abadam.com. And, just staring at it for a while, kind of not kind of thinking like, God, I got to do something about it, because it doesn't stand out to be like, hey, of course it's a graphic design or type service, because it's just my name .com, right? My last name. So I've joined a group on Facebook of designers, and what I've done was I've attempted an easy, quick design for that site. Trying to just change things up. Not happy with how. It's funny because I could design stuff for anybody else and be like, okay, I could roll with that. Then when it comes to me, designs are like, I can never settle. So I have a problem. I can never settle, and I can never stick to something. I guess that's sort of like the curse of being that designer, having a designer thing going on. Yeah. I don't talk about it that much on Ruel's Running Podcast, but I've had to think about it a lot lately in this sort of side project of rebranding that other website, and I shared it with this with a bunch of other designers. Of like, okay, here's a concept, right? The concept was, and nothing fancy, kind of modern text, no other way to describe it. Just says Abadam. Below it, studio or studios, right? Abadam Studios. So what if I do that rather than just simply Abadam, right? And okay, so why don't I put a little graphic on the side? I love coffee. It's no big secret, right, that I'm a coffee fan. So like, why don't I just throw a cup of coffee on there, right? Some sort of stylized cup of coffee. And one design had this stylized cup of coffee on the left, and it said Abadam Studios on the right. Abadam on top of Studios. The other design was, it just said Abadam Studios, as previously described. Abadam on top, Studios at the bottom, and the O in Studios was replaced with the cup of coffee. Yeah, okay. But then again, so I put those designs just sort of like, let's get some designers to sort of critique this. I didn't have my heart set on it, but I wanted to get other minds around it and pick at it, like a sore, like a scab. And I got a lot of feedback. Well, first of all, stepping back. Why did I use studios? Why do I say studios? Well, who the hell do I think I am? NBC? We have a lot of things. Well, the thought behind that was, currently on abadam.com, things that I put myself out there for, as far as help, things like, the audio's getting kind of funky. Are things like, I think it is, all that clicking and clacking, it's feedback, some sort of wireless interference. So I'll try and find myself in a neutral spot, hopefully, and keep away from it. At any rate, so the mindset behind using studios was, I currently put myself out there for things like graphic design. I even put myself out there for, consulting for websites, podcasting, and generally activities that are wrapped around all of those things. When you do a podcast, you need help. Okay, how do I get started? Who do I host with? Do I need a website presence? Do I need to have any sort of social media presence? Do I need to, what else do I need to freaking do, right? So, based on my experience with Ruel'sRunning.com, and having a little bit of technical background with what I do in my day job, I'm comfortable guiding and teaching and providing that information. As long as the client has a level of capabilities, him or herself. I've spoken to many folks in the past who want to accomplish certain things that involved the use of a computer, but they themselves were technically challenged there. So I can get them off and running with the basic guidelines and instructions and stuff, but at the end of the day, what they need is to actually just hire me. So, anyways, I put myself out there for these various things, and I apologize for all that feedback. So my thought was, okay, I could say Abadam Studios, and since it's plural, I could say one is a graphic design studio. That's an aspect of what I do. I can have a podcasting studio as another aspect of providing services for podcasts. You get the picture. So I just liked the way it sounded. Abadam Studios versus Abadam Studio. I don't know, for some reason I thought the S belongs there because Abadam ends with a consonant, and therefore the studio should end with a consonant. I don't know. Maybe I didn't have enough coffee that morning, and I kind of just wing it.
But is she only getting a job 1 year chunks?
So here I am. I'm trying to rework that brand, and I have these designs out for designers to pick and critique. And right off the bat, and the right is like, "What are you, a coffee shop?" I said, "Yeah, okay." Yeah, I was hoping to just sort of like, I need to do something about it. So I'm not sure how I'm going to roll with it. I may just abandon the whole idea of integrating coffee in somewhere, but I don't know. We'll see. So I had to think about like the history of what this thing is supposed to be, right? And the uses for it, for this design, for this site. I couldn't help but, I was asked, okay, other than just me presenting as a design or a couple of designs, they wanted to know more information. When you're doing this type of stuff, it helps to get a little background of where you're coming from, what's important to you, and all that jazz, so that you can kind of capture the spirit of the thing in the design. And that's what these designers basically wanted. So I had to, in the middle of the night, because I was checking posts in the middle of the night while everyone was in bed, and I was just hanging out with my phone in bed, and I just tapped away at a response, which is basically, how I came about with Abadam.com, and it went something like this. And it went with, back in the day, I don't know, early 2000s, registering a website domain was put out there, and someone said, you want to secure your lastname.com, right, before someone else does, So I went and did that. So there I was, I had a domain name. I'm like, okay, now what do I do with it? So back then, you just set up your own web server. So in my apartment, set up my own web server, right? My own an extra personal computer. And okay, so there I am. I have a publicly exposed web directory. I can just start slapping on pages and have a website visible to the rest of the world. I have nothing to share other than maybe just a page as a resource page, a directory, if you will, of things that just interested me. And what interested me most at the time was martial arts. So, whenever I came across some cool bit of information related to martial arts, I slapped a link on the webpage. it was basically that. And at the time, I worked for a travel website company. Back then, they were kind of ahead of the game, but at the end, they ended up being dead last, in my opinion. It was a .com company that allowed you to share your property, B&B, kind of like what Airbnb is today, whether it be a hotel or a small B&B. You can share that online. You can have a web presence, because back then, in the early 2000s, not everybody had a web presence. And the company I worked for allowed these properties to do so. You know, in addition to having a consumer-facing website where folks can search for dates and availabilities and rooms, there was also a reservation backend, you know, that allowed hoteliers to enter available rooms and blocks of rooms and blockout rooms and stuff, so that, you know, things were, you know, there, not just blankly book a room and not know whether or not it's available or not. And anyways, so this company, like a lot of companies today, had an affiliate program. Affiliates were pretty new back then, so I figured I'd sign up for every dang affiliate program under the sun, whether it related to me or not, and I slapped links on my website, and that was basically it. The beginnings of that, abadam.com, early 2000s. Eventually, I didn't want to host anything in my apartment, and I wasn't generating any commission. Most of my time ended up being spent developing and hosting a martial arts website for my guru. And that's a whole different story. I met a guy at the apartment community who was offering martial arts instruction nearby, because someone else in the community had apparently been assaulted or something, and he wasn't going to have that. You know, we're all part of the community, and if one person in the community is harmed, he's going to do something about it. And the way he figured he can help is offer self-defense instruction at a park nearby. You know, so he put little cards in the little community laundry rooms, and I found it, and it caught my eye, specifically where it said JKD, you know, for Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's philosophy of martial arts, or just philosophy. And like, cool, I want to learn more about this, right? And hooked up with him, and on the day that he had scheduled to be there, I was the only guy that showed up, right? And from there, you know, I wanted to get more instruction. He wanted to charge, and I said, well, I could do this. I could do websites. I can host it. I can develop your site. And if I do that, you can give me a break on, you know, whatever fee it is to get your instruction. So we had that relationship, and I spent a lot of time learning the tools needed to templatize web pages, and spent a lot of time taking photographs and working on content for pages for this martial arts website, which existed in my apartment. And you know, it led to a lot of traffic into eventually what ended up being a studio, from a park to a studio. And that was my sort of intro to, okay, this is what it's like to get involved with not just hosting a site, but developing a site, working on content to get the best sort of SEO possible. And a lot of props to my guru, because somehow he figured out the importance of keywords and keyword density on the pages and on the site because, it got a lot of visibility and a lot of people into classes. Eventually over time, since I was the first student, I became a senior student. So I helped with instruction, teaching. When the guru had to go on vacation for a week, I was the guy who was leading class. Aside from the arts and stuff that he taught me, I joined another camp, if you will, for martial arts instruction in a different area, specifically Muay Thai, because my guru had praised the cardio conditioning in Muay Thai. So when he went on vacation, I signed up for a different school in conjunction with what I was already doing. Pissed him off. He felt the money that I was putting towards doing that instruction was taken away from him for whatever reason. It was kind of selfish and wrong and incorrect. But at any rate, he benefited from me being able to learn, how to condition in that class, because when he was away, I basically took those techniques and I provided it to his students. We're seeking not just, the techniques that are basic to the arts that were there, Kali, Screamer, Nice, Benchmark Silat, JKD concepts, but people that were joining were also hoping to get a good workout. And sometimes when you're just doing drills, hand drills, or drills with sticks and knives, not real knives, right? Dulled knives, simulation knives. It's a different activity. It isn't getting your heart rate up, or when you're doing locking and throwing and all that stuff. Yeah, a little bit more. But, guys wanted a cardio workout. So on the days where it was just me instructing the class, I'd bring in all my pads, I'd set up stations, and I'll set up the class in a way where we're just going to work on these stations, and at the end, when you think you're tired, I'm going to drill you even harder. So that was cool. So anyways, as I digress, I went from evolving the website to abandoning it, and just keeping the domain name going, because I had already committed some personal email addresses that used the domain name, so that I just wanted to keep it, wanted to use it, and the more and more I used it, the more important it was for me to keep. So, fast forward, I get into this silly show, develop RER173 Running, right, to do exactly what folks who have been listening for a long time know, is just to be an example of one of thousands of people who are living an NSNG lifestyle and benefiting from it. I just wanted to put myself out there to help grow and promote, the community. For folks who weren't familiar with it, they could be like, okay, let's take a look at this guy. I said, okay, that's what's going on with him, and there are many others out there. But it was my thing, and I want to also share my running, my little bit of running that I do, and then I just wanted to just talk openly about, being a family guy, and so I worked on RER173 Running, and while in the community, the NSNG community, I just every now and then I would just throw out some design work, right, for fun, and then I threw it out for charity or whatever. I would just do a lot of get back into it, right? And I've never ever thought of going to a formalized design school after high school, because my dad was the source of all of this creativity and artistic ability that somehow I have. My dad was the artist, he was the graphic artist, the sketcher, the painter, the builder, all of that stuff. You know, people, when I was growing up, everyone knew my dad. He was the artist, right? When we need something done, you know, a drawing, a painting, a sign, whatever, right? Go see him. And then, you know, I guess early on I was showing similar exceptional abilities, you know, compared to, you know, a typical person in class. And, you know, then I realized it myself, like, yeah, okay, I can do what my dads can basically do in my own way. Not everybody else can do it, but that'll remain a passion of mine. And I don't want to go to school and end up having... I don't want to go to school and find a job related to it that puts me in a situation where I'm just working a tedious job, and this whole aspect of me is now, you know, wrecked in a way. So I decided to not do any sort of art school and pursue other things, you know. But here I am. You know, I'm doing more design related activities and you know, web related activities, website related activities, because it's fun. I enjoy it. And sometimes projects are bigger than others, and I have to really dedicate a lot more time to get it done right. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to put a web presence out there and start charging. So, you know, just trying to go the easy route. I knew, you know, I already had Abident.com, so I figured, why don't I just reattach a website to that domain and, you know, put some text there, some pictures, and just say that here I am, you know. No frills, get stuff done. I can do some consulting in all these aspects, and do some work in these areas. And so that is what you see today. It's just sort of like bleh, right? But it's a way to reach me. It's a way that you know, someone can stumble upon me. What I don't have is a website design that I'm happy with, which is kind of ironic, right? I put myself out there to be able to help folks with websites and web design, right? And you know, I have a website, but I'm not happy with it. It says, what's wrong with you? You're supposed to be able to, you know, it just, you know, goes back to I can design for others and then be happy, be content, be pleased, whatever, you know, because I'll get that immediate feedback. You know, I'll provide some mock-ups, provide some designs and suggestions, and I'll present to a client, and then I'll get feedback from them, what their likes and dislikes, and bounce other ideas, until we formulate and craft a design that is exactly what was envisioned. And so then that's that immediate feedback, like, okay, that's what they wanted, they got it, boom, I'm happy with the work as well. But for me, you know, it's just, I'm my own client. So if I draft stuff, you know, I can either settle, you know, or I could continually sort of like draft and scrap and draft, and there's no end, right? It's because I'm the guy that's actually doing the design work. It's crazy. So that's why the same thing applies with the web design. I have something out there, I'm not happy with it. Others may look at it and just say, yeah, it's a website, right? Sure. But behind it, you know, there's this whole different level of, yeah, I'm not pleased with it, right? And so I, you know, busy with Ruel's running, busy with my day job, busy with family, and busy with, you know, freelance design stuff and web stuff. You know, so what has to fall behind is, you know, actually working on my own website. You know, and I've heard that in the design group, like, someone with 20 years experience as a designer in the industry, doing a lot of designs for everybody else and web work, but they admit too that they're just too busy to be working on their own website. That, it's almost like if you are putting yourself out there as a designer and you have this super awesomely designed website, you're spending a whole lot of time in it. And maybe you're not spending any time with clients. So, that's that. So, I had this quick chat with Lonnie, our good friend Lonnie Beecham, over at Restoration at Jefferson City, Missouri. Our buddy. He's been on the show many times. He's one of the NSNG admins, NSNG main group admins, and the closed group, the lobby group, or the bridge group. But anyway, he's like, dude, you need to start tagging some of this free work that you're putting out there with your website. You need to hire somebody to do the marketing for you, because you need to start doing that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't know. When I design for others, the furthest thing from my mind is I'm going to put some sort of signature or I'm going to put some sort of tag. But I need to find out how I can do that in a way that it doesn't come across weird. So I'm sure there's a way. At any rate, Abram.com is going to evolve. I already registered a different domain name, but I need to, I don't have the time right now. I'm busy taking care of a bunch of other stuff. So I need to, I heard, the best time to work on promoting your own stuff is not when you have the downtime, but when you're actually busy. And I'm kind of like, huh? I don't get it. But, okay, that's what you recommend. I'll try it. And then I hear other things like, if you ever want mental health, you have to focus on one thing or something like that, and not multitask. It's like, try to tell a father, try to tell a parent with multiple kids not to multitask. Even a parent of just a single child, right? Tell them not to multitask. I dare you. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I think, and this is just me being on the cusp of here or there, it's a balance. It's constant fluidity and adjusting. You have to be hard, you have to be soft, you have to be hot, you have to be cold. It's not one way. You have to be systematic and you have to be loosey-goosey. It's not one way. Neither of them. I can see both sides, and that's just me, and that's how I flow. At any rate, and I keep saying at any rate, because that's the audible sound that I make when my brain is trying to figure out what the hell am I talking about again. So what is this episode about? The episode is about me and not so much the running, but partially the evolution of this podcast, and the other things that I got going on. And so I appreciate your listening. I'm going to leave it as that, and I'll probably call this episode something along the lines of whatever the hell else is going on in this guy's life, and how does it affect or impact Ruel's running. I don't know. That's kind of long. It probably won't fit in your podcast player screen. I think of something. So I think after this episode I'll re-up the re-ups. Oh, you know what? Before I go, that's what I want to talk about. Forgive me. I I got a lot going on that I have to sort out. It's been a long break. So, I've really, I want to say last February I ran a 50K trail race, and I was hoping to use that as a starting point for me to sort of get back into more running, and also as a way to sort of get my nutrition back in check, sorted out. And I really haven't, right? I've like I said, it's been a lot going on. So in an effort to just keep some sort of flow going, I have to let other things slide, and the focus on what the next run is going to be had to take a back seat. And a lot of times I like to call what a lot of people call the emotional side, the emotional impact of, or the psychological impact that can happen on one's diet. So, with a lot going on, I had to let things slide, and sometimes that meant, I would have a meal with coworkers or my family, and oh look, someone presented me with a bun or bread. Am I going to, for me to just like, I could either push it away, or I could like say, what the hell, this one time, right? So there were those moments where it's like, I need to have some sort of control with what's going on with me, and that control might just be me saying, I'm going to put a little life into living. I'm going to eat this damn bread, or I'm going to have this damn bun with my burger. And so that happened, and it happened a lot, and more than I thought. It just becomes easier to do that. It becomes easier to slip, and next thing you know, the slip is not a slip. The slip has become the norm. I wasn't 100% away from the lifestyle. It feels that way, but I wasn't. But I think it was enough it's definitely enough to impact, me, because, I put on weight, I'm jiggly in the spots that I don't want to be jiggly, right? I filmed myself jumping rope recently, and I could see I could see that gut just kind of, participate in the jump rope session, and the clothes don't fit the way it's to fit, and there never really was a last straw for me. It was
Coming up, Rue gives us something else to think about. How vague is that, Ruel? Geez. Could you be any vaguer, Ruel? Well, it's all coming up on Ruel's Running. Okay. The book is called Eat Happy, Gluten-Free, Grain-Free, Low-Carb Recipes for a Joyful Life by me, Anna Vicino. Eat Happy has 154 delicious grain-free, gluten-free recipes that are also free of any processed sugars. There are meats, fish, sides, soup, starters, casseroles, slow cooker recipes, breakfast dishes, and even desserts to satisfy any sweets craving you might have, all with virtually no sugar. If you are low-carb, paleo, are wanting to keep autoimmune issues at bay, or just want to lose extra weight, Eat Happy gives you comfort food where you won't miss the sugars or grains, so your body and brain can feel happy from eating real food. Okay, go get it then. Now's your chance. Yay! Yay!
I'm on this path, and hopefully, it's funny because I know better, right? I know better, but knowing better and actually doing what you know is a totally different thing. And so there had to be a last straw. And I think the last straw for me was having to put on a pair of jeans that I had not worn for a long time because it was a bigger size. And I basically got rid of a lot of my bigger size jeans. I kept one for whatever reason. And it was the only one that didn't have any holes in it. Everything else that were smaller size that have holes in the knees, And so the other day I put on those bigger size jeans and I'm like, this is gonna stop. This has to stop now. And what that means is, I have to recommit to being as strict with NSNG as possible, just like everybody else in the group, just like everybody else who's discovered NSNG, and also recommit to, if I'm not putting myself out there on the trail or on a run or in a race, having just some activities so that not to use as a reason, as a way to think I'd use that to lose weight, but as a way to sort of clear my mind, have some sort of mental health relief. And so that's that. Yesterday I went on a run, went on like an hour and a half run. Felt good. Haven't done that in a while. It's a funny run. Just trying to label my runs. I didn't Strava. I didn't track. I just looked at the clock, said, okay, I'll go out for 45 minutes and then I'll head back. Along the way, I passed an adult store, an adult shop, and turnaround point was next to I think a church. So I'm covering a lot of ground, and and days before, I mentioned jump rope. A friend online, a friend of the show, former guest, Chris Rollins, who was also on Vinny Todorich's podcast on a one-on-one talking about jump rope. And, in the past, Chris and I have gone back and forth with jump rope sort of exchanges. We would video a jump rope session and then put it out there, and then basically like, here you go, try this. And he's kind of having me do that again. Well, he's not having me, he's putting it out there, and I'm taking him up on his offer. So, I'm getting that bit of exercise back, and it's like, as he says, as Vinny says, and I've always known it, but I've just sort of forgotten about it. It's a quick and easy way to get good exercise, and I'm having to remind my wife of that as well, who's had her share of jump rope, her own jump rope experiences when she was doing the cardio conditioning classes at the Muay Thai school. So she has a level of appreciation for the exercise, and I had to remind her this is something that we can start adding back in to our lives because it's so easy to do. Do like 3 3-minute rounds with a minute break in between, and you'll be good. You'll be good. So, having to recommit to myself for my nutrition and for my mental health and with the goal of tucking away all that extra weight that I put on. And I think the heaviest that I got myself to was and I'm not a big guy, 5'6", but the heaviest I got to was 150, and I was like, damn, and the lightest I got while in NSNG was, I think, 135, right? So you take those two ends of the scale for me, and I have some work to do to get back to the lightest, if that's the goal. But I'd be happy with coming down 10 to 15. So I got some work to do. It's funny because prior to now, I've been part of the NSNG community for 5 years, right? Early on where Vinny and Anna had the podcast started. Lonnie's been there ahead of me, but we're a couple of the old school guys that stuck around, and for all those years I've developed a level of fat adaptivity and ketosis and whatnot, and I felt bulletproof over the years. Like this is me. I'm gonna be this lightweight for a while, for a long time. This lifestyle has been the solution, and it is. But I felt, I made the mistake of thinking that I was bulletproof, and I'm learning that no, you can't abandon the lifestyle for too long and think that you aren't going to be affected, because it's that negative experiment, it's that negative n=1 of, if it's been proven time and time and time again that NSNG, no sugar, no grains, will improve your health and improve your weight, it's only logical that, sugars and grains will be not good for your health and not for your weight, right? Common sense. And I'm proving that for myself, right? I'm not saying that I'm going home and eating a bunch of candy, drinking a bunch of sodas, and eating a bunch of pizzas and sandwiches and whatnot. No, it's just enough of the stuff, time to time, over a period of time, that and it's just the bread, it's the bun, or it's the ice cream, right? That's what it is, basically, for me. So it's for whatever reason this has happened, and the reason is, I've just been lazy, because I just didn't have the mental capacity to stick because of other things going on. So now things have shifted, and I clearly, with this recommitment, I'm at a better sort of emotional and psychological state, because I've gone through some challenging moments in the past, I want to say 8 months, 9 months. And a lot of that is now in the past, and a lot of that is in the history. And there are sure to be more difficult times, so that's why the recommitment is important, because I need to be ready for other things that may happen that may need me to slip, or cause me to slip. And that might be the reason why I'm talking about it with you guys. It's my way to recommitting, and God, I hope I don't fail at that. So I'm going to count on you guys to help me out. You guys who are in the NSNG groups, the guys that are in the Rules Running Facebook group. And if you're not there yet, there's a Rules Running podcast group. If you want to reach me, you can reach me there. It's a closed group, so we can kind of get a little bit, just a little bit intimate. Not too much. Keep your distance. You don't want to catch what I got. So you can reach me on the website. You can reach me, Twitter, Facebook, and at that Facebook group. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna cut it there. But so that's my re-up of my journey to NSNG. Just when I thought that I was bulletproof and I had met my goals, it's very possible, even after 5 years, to go the opposite direction. Now it's just learn a lesson and get back on and stick. So that's that. Catch you next time, and thanks for listening. Remember, folks, eat something delicious, hug your family, and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.